Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Erik Voss, and we need to talk about what we've learned about James Gunn's Superman movie coming July 11th, 2025. In the past few weeks, the director confirmed that he has been hosting a series of test screenings, and word on the street is that the most recent screenings have been looking good. In this video, I'm going to break down everything we have learned about Superman, what is being said about the film, and where this information is even coming from. Like, can we even trust it? Back on February 24th, James Gunn and Peter Safran sat down with various members of the press community to share a big update on all the projects they're working on at DC Studios. And just to quickly recap what we learned from that, James Gunn said that he has the next 6 years of the DCU planned out, including a major tentpole event on the scale of what Avengers movies are to the MCU, but he refused to give any details on that. James Gunn said that the general plan for the DCU is to release 2 live-action films, 1 animated film, 2 live-action series, and 2 animated series every year. Gunn said that Batman the Brave and the Bold has a screenwriter, but they didn't want to name the guy because it would put too much pressure on him, but that Andy Muschietti is still attached to direct it, and that Muschietti will be the first director to get to see the script and have the option to continue to direct it or to pass. A reminder that this film is going to be based on Batman and his son, Damian Wayne, Robin. The DCU Batman has not been cast yet, but it's almost certain that it's not going to be Robert Pattinson. Lanterns will be coming early 2026, and since they're shooting it right now, we've since seen an official photo of Kyle Chandler as Hal Jordan with Aaron Pierre as John Stewart. Hal's ring is a bit different from the design of the ring worn by Green Lantern Guy Gardner in the Superman film. Ulrich Thompson is playing Sinestro. Kelly MacDonald is playing a small-town sheriff named Carrie, and Jason Ritter is joining the cast as her husband, and J. Alphonse Nicholson has also joined the cast. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow is midway through production, coming June 26, 2026, and we've still only seen the one official photo of Kara Zor-El from behind. Jason Momoa is playing Lobo in this film. It was also confirmed that Crypto, the dog, will show up in this movie as well. And then just some other updates from this February meeting. The Clayface movie is still moving forward, coming out in September 2026, written by Mike Flanagan and now being directed by James Watkins. The Authority was put on the back burner though, and James Gunn and Peter Safran said that they had some trouble with the tone of this project since we all now have plenty of great deconstructions of superhero cinema with titles like The Boys. Titles Waller and Booster Gold are also reportedly on the back burner. We learned that Teen Titans will be a movie and that Blue Beetle will be an animated series. And more recent news since then, the Sergeant Rock film, which was reportedly considering Daniel Craig for the lead role, is now reportedly in talks with Colin Farrell. If that casting moves forward, it would almost certainly mean no second season for the Penguin series, and that would be a bummer. Now sure, Colin Farrell could play 2 roles for DC, especially with Oz Cobb under heavy makeup. He would look completely different than however Sergeant Rock looked. And yes, the Matt Reeves depiction of Gotham is probably going to be a separate Elseworld from the Gotham that James Gunn is developing for the DCU. I just think realistically, from a business perspective, it's going to be hard for Warner Brothers to justify paying an actor to play 2 ongoing DC characters at the same time. But James Gunn at that February press meeting also confirmed that he has been doing test screenings for Superman. He said, quote, "We've done screenings. We've done real screenings. Definitely learning stuff all the time. Definitely editing and making little changes. You know, we might shoot a couple little tiny things. All my additional photography is so hard because it's like I used to be kind of against it because, you know, you don't want to have to shoot again. It's a pain in the ass. But as time has gone on and I've made more movies, I really like being able to say, you know what? I wish I had a shot of that fist hitting that thing. And so I do tend to go back and pick that kind of stuff up. So it wouldn't be anything major, but those kind of things, yeah, I'll cover you a couple more things like that." Now, actually back in late November, James Gunn told the Today Show Australia that he was going to his second Superman test screening at that point.
"I am really excited about it. I'm about to go do our second test screening after this tonight, and I'm excited about that. I know that I like the movie I'm making when I'm excited to show it to an audience. It's not always the case. I'm always sometimes a little more scared, but I'm just really excited to show it to people. Again, it's been a great process so far. Wonderful actors all around. Wonderful crew."
And then on December 6th, the Hollywood Reporter's Heat Vision newsletter reported, quote, "We've heard from multiple sources about one screening in particular on the lot and with his close-knit crew of people he trusts. We're keeping the buzz around the movie itself in our own Fortress of Solitude, but we can tell you that the movie will be doing a few days of additional shooting in Los Angeles in the near term." And then later that month, a tweet from Scooper, viewer Anon on Twitter, said, "Any and all Superman test screenings so far, we don't know how many have taken place, have been internal. Even by test screening standards, take any leaks from internal screenings, positive or negative, with a huge grain of salt." So just to pause here, what are test screenings? If you like scheming, backstabbing, and power grabs, then you love Game of Thrones. Watching Game of Thrones gives you a front row seat to the action, but playing Game of Thrones King's Road puts you right in the middle of Westeros, so you can see a whole new side of the kingdom come to life. Game of Thrones King's Road is the official Game of Thrones action-adventure RPG based on the TV series and A Song of Ice and Fire novels. It's got an original storyline that takes place during season 4 of the show. You take the role of an heir to House Tyre, a minor northern house caught in a web of power struggles, alliances, and betrayals. To survive, you'll have to build relationships with key characters like Jon Snow, Roose Bolton, and Cersei Lannister. You'll get to experience fresh plot lines and expand on the original series while facing new challenges, from the rise of the White Walkers to the treachery of House Bolton. Developed for both PC and mobile platforms, the game offers seamless cross-play and cross-progression, allowing players to enjoy the game anytime, anywhere. Best of all, it's completely free to play, with no pay-to-win elements, offering a fair and authentic experience for all players. Early access to Game of Thrones King's Road will open on March 26th, but you can click the link in the description to pre-register now. The test screenings that James Gunn was referring to include a variety of different setups. Definitely some friends and family screenings, and screenings for other industry colleagues of James Gunn, including other directors, other screenwriters, other crew people, other actors who he's worked with before. Internal screenings at Warner Brothers with other studio personnel. That's very, very common. But test screenings also include these other events, these unadvertised events in cities really all across the country through services like GoFobo, in which subscribers to those services end up on mailing lists and get emailed invites to what are just special screenings without being told what film it's for, and they end up getting a small turnout at a local cinema, sometimes on like a random weekday, and then when you get there, you end up filling out a non-disclosure agreement, legally preventing you from sharing with anyone what you saw, and then right before it starts, someone comes out and says, okay, here's what you're seeing, don't say anything about it, fill out the survey afterwards, thanks. But sometimes people who attend those screenings might contact a blogger or a podcaster or a YouTuber, or just ends up posting what they saw on Reddit. They don't use their names, but they do share some descriptions of what they saw, and it's never possible to verify if these descriptions are legitimate. But then this week, Scooper Jeff Snyder posted in his newsletter an update about Superman, repeating what has actually been said in the past about this movie, that it is 2 hours and 20 minutes long, and he wrote, quote, I spoke to someone this weekend who has seen Superman, and they really liked it. They said David Cornsweet delivers as the Man of Steel, and that the jokey moments I mentioned on my podcast, The Hot Mic, were initially viewed out of context, but worked much better within the flow of the edit. They compared it to how Gunn balanced the humor and the drama in The Suicide Squad, saying it has genuinely funny moments, but it also knows when to drop the shtick and get serious. Snyder had claimed a few weeks prior that execs at Warner Brothers were unhappy with the film and claimed that the humor was too jokey for their taste. This description would put those concerns to bed. There was also this recent statement from media analyst Robert Meyer Burnett on the John Campea podcast.
The thing about Superman is, in our space, I've only heard from people who work within the industry that Superman is really good. That's all I've heard. I've heard, you know, the people that have poo-pooed it, at least that I've heard from the industry, are not poo-pooing it in a way that I believe is bad. It's more like they're like, do you think it's really wise that a superhero movie, they're betting a new... If the movie's good, like you always say, winning cures everything.
So all of the speculation over whether Superman will be good, whether it can go the distance as a potentially billion-dollar movie at the box office this summer, is really coming in the wake of some reporting by Matthew Bellany's Puck newsletter earlier this month that Warner Brothers needs Superman to be a hit. According to Puck, on March 11th, Superman has now taken on almost incalculable importance to Warner Brothers Discovery. If Warner's can't finally make the DC franchise work, there is genuine fear that the studio will go the way of Fox, which was swallowed by Disney in 2019. An essential element of the stock price is believing that the IP of DC is meaningful. David Zaslav bet big that they can show the world that the DC IP can have real value. Superman is the first movie. That will set the tone. They have a tremendous amount riding on it. Puck also speculated that Zaslav might be considering replacing Warner studio heads Michael DeLuca and Pam Abdi with Peter Safran, James Gunn's producing partner, head of DC Studios. If, and this is a big if, the Puck's reporting is accurate, it would suggest that Warner Brothers Discovery is in a far more desperate situation than expected, and really needs Superman to be a hit to bankroll the future, not just of the DC studio brand, but every other project Warner Brothers is working on. If it doesn't, Puck predicts a sale of all of Warner Brothers film properties. But then you would have to wonder, who could even afford to buy Warner Brothers from Discovery? Probably not another film studio that you know. It would have to be one of the big tech companies who's now started dabbling into film production. Apple, Amazon, Netflix. Probably not Apple, because it was just reported that they've lost like $1 billion to their streaming investments. Could Jeff Bezos' Amazon even do that without running into some antitrust issues, since they also own the MGM MGM film properties? Does Netflix even want to do it? They're kind of doing their own thing, and they don't seem to be that interested in acquisitions. So either way, that's why you're going to be hearing a lot more about how good is Superman exactly. While all the studios have their big tentpole releases this summer, Jurassic World Rebirth for Universal, Fantastic Four First Steps for Marvel and Disney, none of those seem to be as important to the bottom line of those companies as Superman seems to be to Warner's. By the way, we're now on trailer watch for Superman. The first week of April will be CinemaCon in Las Vegas, where James Gunn will present a panel about Superman and the whole DC slate. The Warner Brothers presentation is Tuesday, April 1st in the afternoon or evening, depending on where you live. We're gonna have you covered here on New Rockstars for whatever big updates we get. Big thanks to Brandon Barrick for his help researching this video. Comment down below with your thoughts. Follow me at EA Voss and subscribe to all 3 channels in the New Rockstars network for breakdowns and news coverage of everything you love. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.